Most gear doesn't survive contact with real hiking, and after 35 years, only 9 pieces consistently make the cut for me. Some earned it the hard way, some quietly punched above their weight, and some, well, they're just me. First up, the ones that earned it. Earned gear. Now, one quick thing before we start. This isn't gear I've always carried. This is what I'm reaching for now on pretty much every trip these last couple of years or so. Earned gear is the structural stuff. Pack, shelter and sleep. These 3 earned a permanent spot by replacing whatever used to be there. The Whipper Woolamai pack. Pack capacity is one of those things hikers get wrong both ways. Too small and you're strapping things on the outside in the rain, which is not ideal. Too big and you just fill it because you can. And for 12 months now, the Whipper Woolamai has been the only pack that I've been reaching for, this thing here. Now, whether I'm out for one night or 8 days with a full camera kit, it's been the same pack every time. It's just over 1.3 kilos from memory. I'll flash the weight on the screen. It loads up to expedition capacity, but cinches down so I can use it as a day pack on longer trips when I just want to leave my main kit back at camp and I don't have to take an extra day pack with me. I can just take that thing. The bits that make it work are a proper padded harness, load lifters, and a front pocket I can actually use and get plenty of stuff in. Now, I came across from a Hyperlite Porter and I loved that, but the Porter had no real padding and no load lifters, anything like that. I'd really pared back to go to that pack. And that's the thing the Whipper nails. It brings back those old things that I missed. And the thing that seals it for me, well, it's made on site here in Australia, so little improvements happen constantly. Every batch is better than the last. My only gripe is that the hip belt pockets tend to bunch up against your hip. They're a bit elasticated, as you'll see there, and they slide onto the hip belt. But it's easy enough to fix while you're walking. You just slide them back along. But I'd love a built-in version eventually, so I'll keep an eye out for that. Now, next up is the piece of gear that almost didn't make the list because I genuinely couldn't pick a favourite until I forced myself to. The Durston X-Dome 2. Okay, so picking a favourite tent is, honestly, it's impossible. I've got 4 or 5 that I rotate depending on the trip. But if I had to pick one shelter that's just going to do me for most trips, then it's the Durston X-Dome 2 with the carbon poles that I purchased. Now, I've been running this one for about a year now. I've used it on maybe 1.5 weeks worth of trips. And with my wife on a shorter trip, we both fit in on 25-inch wide pads with room to spare. And when I'm on a solo, on a 1 to 3 night trip, it gives me ridiculous amounts of room to sprawl on. It's bomb-proof in proper Tassie weather, and it has saved me from horizontal rain on more than one occasion already. Look, it's not perfect. It runs a little warm, I think, but if you don't crack the doors, because I've got the solid inner, which here in Tassie means I should probably have got a mesh inner. And the carbon poles, they're super feather-light, but I am rough on my gear and they worry me a bit that when I'm shoving them into my pack or something, they could break. So part of me kind of wishes I'd just gone with aluminium poles, which is an option. I think in the future I probably would. Now, a whole tent video is coming on which tent for which trip. For now, this is the one that earns its spot on most of the missions I'm going out on, but keep an eye for that tent video when it drops. But before we move on, sleep is where I kind of refuse to compromise, and that brings us to the system that genuinely changed how I rest at camp. The ZenBivy sleep system. Now, this is where a lot of hikers can underdo it. They obsess over the weight of their sleep system, save a couple of 100 grams, and then sleep like rubbish for the whole trip. And when you sleep like rubbish, then that means that you're going to hike like rubbish the next day. Now, I've been a quilt guy for around 4 or 5 years, but the bit people miss is the ZenBivy isn't just a quilt, it's a system. The integrated sheet locks to the pad, the pillow stays where it should, and that's hooked into your little hood thing as well, and the whole rig just holds together. And that means that you're not rolling off the pad in the night, there's no draft around your shoulders, around the sides, and I actually sleep and can move around inside my sleeping setup very comfortable, as opposed to when I used to be in a sleeping bag and I'd just get all twisted up all night. I'd end up like a corkscrew some nights. It was awful. Now, I run 2 quilts depending on the season. The ultra light system that they've got, that goes to about minus 12 degrees Celsius from memory, and has been doing the work on the last few trips I've been on where there's been a lot of snow. And for anything where conditions are feeling around -4 or warmer, I'll grab a newer quilt that I've got off Zenbivvy, which is made from the Hypersonic Down, I think it's called, and that one's rated to around -6 degrees. And that one tends to be my go-to quilt these days. It's a bit lighter, it's a hot pink colour, which I love, and it's just a great system. Now, it's not the lightest sleep setup in the world, but sleep is the one place I'll happily carry a bit more, because comfort there, well, it pays you back every hour of the trip when you're feeling good out in the track. Now, that covers the heavy lifters, the pack, the shelter, the sleep, the big calls. And just quickly, before we move on, if you want to see all of this gear in one place, my opinion of it, the exact models, weights, the lot, I built a thing called Trail Kit. Now, it started as my own sort of gear tracker, but I figured if I needed it, others might find it helpful too. It's a free resource where you can go and check out all this gear, and the link's in the description down below. Check it out. All right, the gear that surprises hiker most isn't the big stuff. It's what comes next, and that is surprise gear. Now, surprise gear is the stuff I genuinely didn't expect to love. It's often small, often cheap, and it's easy to ignore. These items quietly do more work than any of the big ticket gear, and most hikers walk straight past them. Ultralight Gear Blue Food Bags. Now, you don't think a food bag matters until you're hunting through your pack on day 6 for your dinner, in the rain, with cold fingers, and everything's a mess, because you didn't organise your food. You just didn't organise it. You should have organised it. You should have put your dinners in that bag and your breakfast in that bag and snacks in that bag. Well, I've got 3 of these Blue Dyneema food bags from Ultralight Gear here in Australia, and they've been with me on every trip for the last 2 or 3 years. They're blue, so I can spot them very easily from the bottom of a packed bag without pulling everything out. And on a 9-day mission, I will split my food across 2, probably more like 3 of these. And I often even write on the bag, not on this one, I've got written on some bags what's in each bag, just dinners, lunches, whatever. Either sort of 1 per chunk of the trip, like days 1 to 3, or 1 per meal type, whatever your system you sort of prefer. They've got the roll top closure, they've got a big mouth, so there's nothing to fiddle with. You can just open them up and look inside. You can even see through them as well. And I just love them. Small things like this, they don't show up in gear videos because they don't feel like gear. They feel like accessories, but the difference between a clean pack and a chaotic pack at the end of a long trip is exactly this kind of thing. These make the difference, and I love them. The next one is a system I avoided for years. Then a mate forced my hand, and honestly, I haven't looked back. The Tokes 2-pot system. Hot drinks while you're eating dinner, that's the problem I didn't realise I had, until I started carrying 2 pots. For years, I cooked and ate out of 1 pot, or I'd take a plastic bowl, something like that. Worked fine. But anytime I wanted a drink with dinner, I had to wait for me to finish my meal, wash the pot, boil water again, and then a mate I've done over 100 days with on the track showed me his setup. And I've taken his setup a step further and called it the 2 Tokes setup. Now, I've got 2 pots that I take. So I've got the wider gauge diameter pot for rehydrating meals and eating out of. I think that's 750ml. Then I've got another 750ml for boiling drink water at the same time. And inside the 750, well, inside there sits my stove, the gas, a lighter, and a little wipe. Whole cook system, top pocket of the pack. This thing sits in there, ready to go. Now, the other half of this system that I picked up off my Woolzer is the pot cozy. Now, I made mine at home out of reflective bubble wrap. I just bought that online on Amazon. You boil your water, you pour it straight into the meal pot, you give it 30 seconds or so to heat on the stove, then you seal it all inside the cozy in here for around 15 minutes and rehydrate your meal, freeze-dried, dehydrated, whatever. What that does is it saves fuel rather than you just cooking it continuously on the stove. So I'll put it up in there like that, bang, and just leave it. And after 15 minutes, it comes out properly rehydrated. It saves fuel, it tastes better than waiting and cooking on a stove, and I can just leave it and sit there and have a chat to the guys while it's rehydrating. Now, I resisted this system, this cozy setup for years, and now I won't go without it. I've got a whole roll of bubble wrap in my garage to make more of these. I even made one for this one as well, but it's fantastic. So thanks, Woolser, for recommending that setup. And you can look up little tuitional videos online of how to make your own. It's also on the Trail Kit website as well. The Brunje Super Thermo Mesh. Now, base layers are where hikers get tricked the most. Everyone reaches for merino, it's soft, it's warm, it's a safe choice. The problem is, the moment you start sweating, it sits wet against your skin and it can take a while to dry. Now, 3 years ago, I bought one of these, a Brunje Mesh base layer, straight out of Norway. Long sleeves, looks ridiculous, and my mates laugh at me on every trip when I'm wearing this stuff. But the way it works is that it creates an air gap between your skin and your fleece, and these little air pockets, so that moisture moves off you instead of sitting on you. And now with this thing, I find I get warmer faster. I dry out quicker after a sweaty climb if I'm wearing something like this. And I've worn it in weather I'd normally have layered up a lot more layers for. I can put this on under my rain jacket with pretty much not much else on and stay very warm. Now, it's the base layer that I take. It comes on every single trip. I love this thing. It's got the full zip neck thing happening as well, which is nice as well. And I'll often pair it with a nice fleece when I'm at camp or something like that. I've been surprised how much I love this thing. Now, the last bucket is the gear that doesn't show up on anyone else's list. And I call it identity gear. Identity gear is the personal stuff. None of it is strictly totally necessary, but it's so woven into how I hike now, I can't separate it from the experience. Other people's lists may not have these. Mine wouldn't be the same without them. The Suunto Vertical 2. Now, this thing here, I've had it on my wrist the whole video, is the only piece of gear that crosses from the track into the rest of my life. Now, most hikers treat their watch as a hiking tool. I treat mine like an everyday thing that happens to be brilliant on the track too. Now, I've been navigating off a watch for the best part of around 13 years, I think now, and I started with a Suunto back then. Then I moved to Garmin for a fair while because the route building I felt at that time was better, but last year I came back to Suunto with this, the Vertical 2, and the app finally got good for route building. And that is the exact thing that drove me away in the first place. So now I can drop a GPX in on my phone to the app, very easy, and it syncs straight to my watch and I'm done. Bright display, sits compact on my wrist as well, and doesn't get in the way. It feels, I actually weighed it yesterday and it was like 89 grams, super light, and it's nice and compact on my wrist. The bit that earns it identity gear status is I generally don't take it off. Only time I do take it off is when I sleep, but I train with it, I walk to the shops with it, I hike with it. It's the same watch the whole time, except when I'm playing golf, because Garmin has the golf thing. This doesn't. That's my only thing I wish this had. I could do golf and tell me distances and stuff. But I digress. And honestly, I love it. It's a great watch, and yeah, it's going to be with me for a while. Now, the next piece of gear I'm not even carrying right now, but after 34 years, it might be the one I'd miss most. The Helinox ground chair. Sitting properly at camp is a small thing that completely changes how a trip feels, especially as you get older and especially somewhere like here in Tasmania where the ground is wet most of the year. Now, the Helinox ground chair has been with me on every single trip over the last 10 years until recently. Now, it's a wide stretch seat, low to the ground, not the high stool style and not those legs that poke into the ground. So it's stable on rough ground and great for around been under the tarp at the end of a long day. But an honest moment. Mine snapped a small frame connection a few months ago, and actually just before recording this video, I literally just heard back from Helinox to see if I can get it fixed. Well, they're gonna send me the part to fix it. Small fee charge, but that's made my day today. So thanks Helinox for sending me that part, and I'll get that chair back up and running very shortly. In between, while I've been waiting to fix that, I've been carrying the REI Flex Light as a stand-in. It's fine, but if I had the choice, I'd be back on the ground chair tomorrow, and by all sounds of it, I'm going to be. Now, I never used to bother with a chair, but now I can't remember the last trip I left one behind. And that's the thing about identity gear. It's not the stuff you need that you have to take. It's the stuff that makes the trip feel like a trip to you and something you kind of can't live without when you're out there. The last one is a single piece of gear I'd put in front of any hiker tomorrow. The Temrez gloves. Now, a lot of hikers run cold in the hands and don't know why. They've got expensive Gore-Tex gloves, they've layered up, they've got their liner gloves, they've got their gloves over the gloves, and they've got the mittens over the gloves. They've tried everything, but still get cold hands, and that used to be me. Well, the Temrez, these things are, I think, Japanese, a fishing glove originally for fishermen, and I tried them in 2021 after years of fighting cold hands, and it was awful. Within 10 minutes of me putting these on the first trip I took them on, my hands went from numb to almost too hot. Now, I've taken them on every single trip since that day in 2021, and I rate them so highly that I went and bought another 2 spare pairs in case they ever stopped making them back then. These are still the original pair that I had. The bit that still blows my mind is that on a recent trip in proper blizzard conditions, and my hands stayed warm all day, and the durability of these things is something else. I've worn them through truly brutal Tasmanian scrub, trip after trip, the kind that tears shells to ribbons and rips scrub gloves to bits. And these don't have a single puncture in them. They still look like pretty much like brand new. Out of every bit of gear in this video, this is the single biggest one item upgrade you could make if your hands struggle, and it's something I recommend everyone hiking in Tasmania should have. But the gear is only half the system. The other half is how you carry it, what you leave behind, and how it all comes together to actually feel light on your back. So check out this video up here next, which walks you through what 35 years of hiking taught me about gear weight. Look forward to seeing you in there.